Hello and a very good morning, a very good afternoon, or a very good evening, ninthers. Well, the thing I keep on telling you, very good morning, very good afternoon, or very good evening, is because I do not know when you'll be watching this video. So it depends on you whether it is in the morning or whether it's in the afternoon or in the evening. You can take it as and when you will be watching it. Now, I'm hoping you all are doing fine. It is also the very cold season, and you must be seeing in the skies there are clouds, and we start thinking clouds in the winter season. Why is it so? When do we see clouds normally or naturally? The clouds we see normally during the summer season or after the summer season, during the late summer season, when the rainy season or when the monsoon is there. Why do we see the clouds? You all know very well that clouds are rain bearing winds, and the moisture bearing they are moisture bearing, and the clouds are mostly formed when there is a low pressure area, or when there is low pressure over some area. But then right now it's the winter season, and winter season, that means the air is cold. Whenever something is cold, it settles down. When something is hot, it rises up. When something is cold, it settles down. And this right now we are having the cold season, the air is settling down, and we are having high pressure area over our cities, over our country India, most of the parts of India. So we are having high pressure areas, and over high pressure areas clouds generally do not or are not seen. High pressure areas are areas of anticyclones. That means winds are moving outside from these areas, they are not coming in. So clouds shouldn't have been here. But why are the clouds over here? Clouds are over here. It can be attributed to one very important cause of rain during the winter months, that is the western disturbances. That is something which we'll be talking about in geography when we do that chapter of atmosphere and the different other parts of atmosphere. Let us come back to history. And what I was wanting to say is that this is the cold season, and I wish that every one of you stays well. You all take necessary precautions from the cold. Stay all muffled up and wear your fancy caps, hats, and stay safe from the cold. Keep on drinking warm soups, hot soups, and keep on enjoying this cold season, but do not venture out much at night, because at night the temperature starts falling down. And this happens because of less insulation, another term of geography we'll be doing when we start the other parts of atmosphere in the next video lecture in geography. Right now, coming back to history, we were discussing about Akbar and his Mansabdari system. When we are talking of Akbar and his Mansabdari system, what actually were we talking of? We were talking of how Akbar had organized his army, Akbar had organized his land revenue or land reforms, and this Mansabdari system was a very, very important step in making the army a very efficient army. So the Mughal army was one of the most efficient armies of the world during that time, and this Mansabdari system was one reason why it was so. Because of this Mansabdari system, what started happening was that Akbar could have huge amounts of people who would be there ready for him at all times, and he would not have to pay for them, he would not have to look after them, and it would be done. So the Mansabdars, they used to get some jagirs, and out of that they used to get the money. Now you may be thinking that Akbar may have given all of his lands to the Mansabdars. You are wrong. There were two types of lands. One was the Khalisi lands. So these Khalisi lands, these were the lands which were owned by the emperor himself, or which was directly under the control of the kingdom. So the kingdom, Akbar, emperor, they used to get direct revenue from these lands which were owned by the emperor. Also the Mansabdars, they used to pay some part of their earning, which they used to get as revenue from the land which they were owning, the jagir they were owning. They used to give some part of their earning to the emperor also. So this was also there. But then this Mansabdari system also led to a Mansabdari crisis later on during the time of Aurangzeb. And why am I discussing this? Because this is one reason why, or this is a reason for the downfall of the Mughal Empire. And I'll be discussing this point right now while we are doing the Mansabdari system, so that later on we do not have to discuss this. Why was there this Mansabdari crisis? Imagine I am Akbar and I am granting lands to maybe suppose 100 people. So if I am giving lands to 100 people, so 100 people will be getting those lands, 100 people will be occupying those lands. And what happens now is that after I die, after Akbar dies, what happens is that his son Jahangir sits on the throne. Now he will be now who will he be granting as mansabdars? Who will be he nominating as mansabdars? He will be nominating his close people, his able people, people who are loyal to him. He will be nominating him as mansabdars. Now this mansabdari system was a very important way by which the emperor could win over the loyalty over someone. Suppose you are a person and I give you a mansabdari title and I grant you some piece of land and I make you a mansabdar. You will stay loyal to me. So this mansabdari system was one way by which the emperor used to give out his loyalty. I mean, buy the loyalty by giving out jagirs and by giving out ranks as mansabdars. Now, over here also, what started happening was that the Mansabdars, now Jahangir, he started appointing newer Mansabdars. Now the land was not increasing, so they were not, the Mughals were not capturing newer and newer territories every day, but the number of Mansabdars was keeping on increasing. So what started happening was that after Shah Jahan, so Shah Jahan also did some conquests, but when the time of Aurangzeb came, what happened was that there were lots and lots of Mansabdars. So Shah Jahan had appointed other Mansabdars, and there was also corruption in that. And next, we have Aurangzeb. He also has appointed a lots of Mansabdars, but the land was not increasing. So there was a long line of people who were waiting for lands to be allotted to them. And where will new land come from? New land was not coming. And lot of the royal lands, the Khalisi land, it was also given away to the Mansabdars. So two crises or two problems came. First problem was that newer Mansabdars were not getting lands, and land was being rotated amongst the Mansabdars. So the Mansabdars knew that their land is not fixed. They are not having fixed land. They do not know till when they will be the Mansabdar of that area. So they did not pay much attention to those lands which they were owning now, or which they were holding, or which they were the Mansabdar of. Now, as the Mansabdars or as the land started rotating amongst the Mansabdars, Mansabdars did not stay loyal to the army. They did not stay loyal to the emperor. Another thing happened. As more and more Khalisi land started going away, what happened was that the revenue collection of the emperor started decreasing. So, two problems: revenue is less, land is less, Mansabdars are more, costs are more. Now, this was a very big crisis. It could have been averted, and Aurangzeb thought of one plan. He thought he had two ways. Aurangzeb thought that he needed more money, and how to get more money to increase taxes. So he brought back the jizya tax or the poll tax. Jizya tax was the tax which was removed by Akbar. Jizya tax was introduced during the time of the Delhi Sultanate. What is the jizya tax actually, or the poll tax? It means every person in the kingdom who is not a person or a follower of Islam will be having to pay some tax. That was the jizya tax, or the head tax, or the poll tax. Head tax, why? Because for every person, every head, there was the tax. So this jizya tax was reintroduced by Aurangzeb, not because history has made him a very unpopular person. So not because Jahangir was a bigoted person, or he had some problem with the other religions, but because he needed more money, and he understood that so as to get more money, he needed to introduce newer taxes, and jizya tax was again reintroduced, and Jahangir had to capture newer lands. So he started the Deccan campaign. This Deccan campaign of Aurangzeb was to be, to be one of the costliest campaigns of the Mughal Empire. He had to spend nearly 25 years in the Deccan, or in southern India, and because of this he was unable. Why did he do this? He wanted to capture more land so as to give those to the Mansabdars, or so as to bring it under the direct rule of the kingdom, so as to get revenue from that. But the lands which they conquered in the Deccan, they were not very fertile, first, and second, the Deccan campaign was or proved to be very futile. Not much land was captured, but a lot of time was spent, 25 years nearly, and lots of money was spent. And just because of this, spending so much time in the south, Aurangzeb neglected so much which was happening in the north, and the kingdom started decaying. So this was one very important reason, this Mansabdari system and the crisis in the Mansabdari, the Jagirdari and the Mansabdari crisis, which led to the downfall of the Mughal Empire. Not this was just one reason. There were so many other reasons also. Now one more thing. Coming back to Akbar. Akbar was a irreligious person, you may say. So what is a religious person? A religious person is a person who does not subscribe very vehemently, or subscribe very seriously to a particular religion, religious belief. So Akbar did not, or he was not a person who was like, so I am a person of Islam, so I will be following Islam to the core and I will be defending it. He was not that kind of a person. He wanted to, so he had built a place called the Ibadat Khana. Ibadat Khana, or a place of worship. He brought in people from all different religions. He brought learned people of all different religions, scholars from different religions. He brought all those people to the Ibadat Khana so as to discuss about different religions. He used to make the Maulvis and the Pandits, they sit together, and he used to ask them some question based on the religious texts, and then he used to love that debate which used to happen. But then, after listening to all the learned people, after listening to different parts of different religions, Akbar understood one very important thing. Akbar understood that religions, or most of the religions, have a few things which are very common, and all the religions have good things in them. So he thought of bringing in all the good things, and he propounded a new faith. He started a new faith which was called the Dini Ilahi. It was not a religion made by Akbar, it was a faith. It means that he called people to follow some particular things which he thought was common in all religions, and he wanted people to act for the good, be for the good. So this was one very important thing started by Akbar, this Ibadat Khana Dini Ilahi. Now this Dini Ilahi could not survive long. It died along with Akbar, but then it did not even have many followers. At its maximum, it had only 11 followers. 11, 10 and 1, 11. So it had only 11 followers, but then still Dini Ilahi was a very important thing, and it is very, very important today. These things of Akbar, these ways of Akbar, is very, very important today in this today's world, where we see so much happening in the name of religion. So, leaving all that aside, Akbar, these were some of the greatest achievements of Akbar, and that is why he is called the Great. We have Ashok, we have Akbar, the two A's. So, people out there who are having names with A, well, be proud, because you are counted as one of the greats. Now, well, I guess this I'll be leaving this till today, and please take care, stay safe, stay happy, and take care of everyone around you also. Thank you.